Christianity and Islam are the two largest worldviews on the planet. We host real, honest conversations about the world's most important issues.
Will you distance yourself from those who think differently, or will you join us at the table and talk about what is really important? This is the Al-Maida Initiative, conversation without compromise.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I really appreciate about this book is that I think it has an optimistic view of where nations can go based on data.
Right.
That it doesn't see poverty as this curse. It doesn't see, well, the rich countries took all the money and all these guys are screwed now. It's actually giving the dignity of saying, look, all of these countries that are broken have potential in themselves.
Right.
Not dependent upon the benevolence of larger countries.
Right.
And I think that's a really good message, and I think that's true.
Right. I mean, his chapters on the aid complex, right? So talking about how there's this nexus of organizations that just dump aid, right? And the different ways they dump aid, like food distribution, or these many different projects that, say, the UN wanted to do in Afghanistan, for instance, and how they were not integrated. And a lot of them didn't actually help people. There's a great story in here about the food distribution, and the woman from Afghanistan that he talked to said, send all the food back. We don't want the food. We need to be educated. We need other things other than food. We can grow our own food. I think her words were, my children have been starving for years. I already know how to keep them alive. You bringing in all of this grain is not helping me. It's the teach me to fish thing, right? Or just give me what I need to be able to get out of this level of poverty, instead of just reinforcing it with, all right, here's another bag of wheat. So I really think that, I think that stories like that really bring it to life. They bring the dialogue to life, and it helps you understand that this reads very academically, right?
Yes.
It is a textbook,
yeah.
In every sense of the word, but it helps you connect, to what actually happened. A lot of that happens the latter end of the book, after he's already kind of laid out his premises.
Yeah. So again, lots of valuable principles in here. Right. I think there's phenomenal insight into broken systems and how to fix those broken systems and to make those systems more efficient.
Sure.
However, and here comes the however.
Oh my gosh.
Like the base assumption of this book, I'd kind of argue, is the fact that the main thing that's broken with the world is systems.
Sure.
And that if we can get rid of the inefficient, ineffective, corrupt systems and replace them with transparent, clear, accessible systems,
sure,
then the world will function better.
So did you really feel like, because this is how I felt like, and I felt like he's saying, okay, to fix a country, you actually need a unicorn.
Yeah.
Right? You need a bunch of people who are so committed to the future of the country and not to their own interests. I mean, you're from the UK. They've had democracy for way longer than we've had it in America. They've been dealing with corruption the whole time. United States. I mean, we hear about it, like a culture of corruption. As much as people want to throw the idea of a swamp under just like, Trump, for instance, this idea of bureaucratic corruption, particularly in our own country, you can see it every time we try to do a budget in this country, right? Because there's all these like pet projects, and they call it pork barrel spending. It's a little worse over there because it just immediately benefits people. But so you can have all the rules in place that he talks about, and you can have the administration in place that he talks about, but people are still going to try to figure out how to enrich themselves and make themselves benefit of it, whether it's immediate wealth in your pocket or influence or power that just reflects to you. So, all right, fine, take a unicorn. First you need, first thing, right? First ingredient, get yourself a unicorn.
Well, okay, yes. But I think again this gets into his worldview, right? Because the introduction, the kind of phrase of underlined, it starts with, what half the globe is created is political, financial, technological, and democratic states, right? Those are kind of his main goals, and again, lots of things he's saying that are good, but I think he's just kind of assuming some foundational issues here, and I think what I kind of take away from this book is that the basic assumption of this book is that people are basically good.
Right.
Right. There's this idea that people are a kind of blank slate, and if you put them in the right circumstances, they will do well, and if you put them in the wrong circumstances, they will do badly.
Right.
And that's kind of what everything's based on, right? So when it talks about it's again foundation of our financial system with a rule of law, an independent judiciary, stable, competent, and honest government. Yeah, so it says you need to talk about needing all those things. It doesn't really talk about how you actually get those things, because it's assuming, right? There's a hidden assumption in the book that people are basically good. So he kind of argues lots of times there's no clash of civilizations. So in page 81 it says, peacemaking has generally been geared towards ending conflict by accommodating the opposing parties with their existing personalities, rather than by creating clear roadmaps and mechanisms to bring about functioning states, as well as enfranchising citizens to make decisions and create pathways for new leaders to emerge. Far from being green fields for novel design and experimentation, post-conflict conditions require a firm understanding of entrenched interests as the conditions of state institutions. As a result, third, state dysfunctionality often starts in the very wake of peace agreement or transfer of power. Individuals who are used to opaque processes often come with complicated histories, and networks take form positions of power and view them as licenses for private gain. So his basic thesis seems to be there is no clash of civilizations. Mm-hmm. There is instead a clash of networks.
I think one thing that I thought in line with what you're saying is I think he just doesn't account for people being evil and just being so wrapped up in the evil that they are kind of blinded by or whatever, that they can't be the way that he wants them to be. Like moral bankruptcy, right? The Taliban, for instance. None of this takes into account these people who don't give a flip about what you're offering them. They only want what they want, and they're willing to do whatever they want to get it. And that puts you at a tactical disadvantage. It puts you at a intellectual disadvantage, because you're sitting there going, well, why won't they respond? And that's really difficult. Like in reading all of this, I just remember thinking like, well, okay, but the Taliban, right?
Right.
Okay, but it didn't work because of the Taliban. It didn't work because when the force that you're talking about left the building, and it was left to you as the stakeholders, right? Okay, let's get rid of the foreign aid. Let's get rid of all of the, the safety nets and all the other things that are coming from the outside, the security, the peacekeeping, the billions of dollars and all of that stuff. It didn't even last 72 hours. Like it was just gone.
Right.
And I think that just on a very baseline level, it's just really interesting, because you can't make a deal with the devil, right? I'm not calling Taliban the devil, but they certainly do things that are evil. You can't make a deal with the devil because he's just never going to tell you the truth, right?
Right.
He's just always going to try and get what he wants out of it. It's not a negotiation. It's how can I take from you and fool you into thinking that I'm doing something for you.